This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, Valkyrie and riders of the Golden Crane, riding off to Tarwin's Gap for the last battle. This is Steven, your host from Fantology, with Jake, our Wheel of Time expert, and Kaden, our first-time Wheel of Time reader. And we are reviewing Towers of Midnight, so we're getting real close to the end of Kaden's first read, and you will then be our expert.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I am excited to finish. It's been a long time coming, like 2.5 years.
Is it really 2.5 years since you started?
It's been at least two. Well, then quite a 2.5, but...
Man, your self-control is very admirable.
Well, on this last book, I've already dived pretty far into Memory of Light, so I couldn't wait for it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you withhold any observations or hot takes or anything from A Memory of Light because
Sure.
we're full spoilers through the first 13. But on the off chance that you are reading along with us, we don't want to spoil that last book for you.
Sure thing.
Okay, so I say we just get started because there's a lot in this book, and I think we just need to start getting into it. So just one character at a time, I'm thinking, is probably the best outline for this book because almost every major character has significant things happen to them. So in my notes, I put down Rand first, or should we start with Rand? He is the Dragon Reborn, as we know from the TV show, right?
And he is now Zen Rand. We get to see Zen Rand in action, finally.
Hi.
So what was your impression of that, Kaden? Like, a huge character shift, obviously, and everything, all the problems that have plagued him previously. Not all of the problems, but he's been able to really turn the page on a lot of struggles from the past.
Yeah, so in the last episode, I was kind of a hater on the whole end of, on top of Dragon Mount scene. I guess I wasn't a hater, I shouldn't say that, but I wasn't as impressed as Jake, I think.
You were underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Or maybe just regularly whelmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whelmed.
I was whelmed. But I loved the scene where he goes in, and this is in the prologue, where he goes in, right, and meets with the Gwen. That was like way more impactful to me than the dragon. I was like, this is sweet. This is what I've been waiting 13 books for.
Are you talking about the apples scene or the Egwene?
The Egwene scene.
Meeting scene.
The Egwene meeting scene is the one that I really liked.
What I really liked about that is, at the end of the last book, he has obviously his realization and becomes Zen Rand, as they say. And it seems like when he's walking through the orchard in the beginning and making the apples blossom, you're like, man, he's just this force of good now. And I liked how they were still contention with him. He was still a human being. He thought this plan was the best plan. She hated that plan, and there were still bits of him from pre-leaving the Two Rivers characterization there. He was still that same person, just with so much growth later on.
And he still has the taint, the madness, right? And Nynaeve tries to heal him of the madness and can't. So maybe I shouldn't say all of his problems are behind him. He's still, like you say, Jake, he's still got that humanness to him.
What did you think about that, Kaden? The Nynaeve not being able to heal him?
Yeah, I still think Rand's going to die in the next book, so I guess I'm not super surprised that she couldn't. And I also think I like that Rand, he's finally grown into his power, right? This is the hero you want for the book, but at the same time, it keeps him not overpowered, right? Maybe.
It's been a while since I've read this one. But I feel like I didn't take it as real madness in the way it was before, because the main manifestation of his madness was Lews Therin talking in his head, and now he's not him and Lews Therin, he is just the dragon, all aspects of it. And so the way it's kind of described of it was light and dark intertangled together. In my mind, when I read that, I was like, oh, he doesn't need to be healed. So interesting that you guys both saw it as the madness is still there.
Yeah, and I guess because he in the last book he also touched the true source,
source.
right? I'm not sure.
Right.
what
Or no,
that one's.
the one power and the true source. He touched the true power,
The true power, yeah.
not the true
Right.
source.
Okay,
So
yes,
confusing.
the true power. And so I wonder, like, at some point he's like, oh man, I've already like, yeah, it's that good and evil combined type of thing where he's kind of just embraced it almost, which no one else has been able to do.
No.
The scene with the Gwen was frustrating to me because this book has a lot of character reconciliations, and this is one that we're like cheering for, like Rand and Gwen. Yeah, let's have them come together and kind of work things out, and they don't. And it's frustrating that Egwene doesn't believe him because from the reader perspective, you're like, like he's got it figured out here, like do this. And Egwene does a lot of other good things, but she's unable to pull through here. So it's frustrating, but like in a good way.
I really like it because I mean, I've really enjoyed watching Egwene go to the character she is, and now she's like the epitome of an Aes Sedai, right? Just everything that she wanted to be, and there's no way that if she's living up to that she's like okay with what Rand's doing still. So I feel like it's very true to her character, and I didn't expect anything less from her. Like it would have been great, but there's like I didn't see that going well with him going in there.
I think I had more of an experience like Steven the first time reading it, where I was like, oh, everything on the good guy side is resolving. We're all coming together. We're all about to get unified to fight the Dark One. And then I was kind of taken aback, but I did think it was in line with her character. I just think it seemed like obviously this is a moment of Egwene's pride, coming in, and like, I don't know. I think like she's not able to see Rand for what he really is, and I mean this is due to like the society and culture of like you're a man who can channel, so I'm going to have to like guide you through this instead of recognizing he actually has more knowledge than her now that he has like knowledge from the Age of Legends and stuff.
I love when he goes into that room, and I don't remember who it was on the outside, but he tells someone, he's like, hey, when I walk out of here, you're going to have to like Egwene's going to be super mad, right? And I just like love that. Like he's like, hey, watch this kind of, and then like goes in. I don't know. That was a cool moment for me. I really like that.
Yeah.
After watching the show, I really like the parallel to the cold open in episode 8, which was a bit of the lore that I, wasn't necessarily familiar with. It's obvious, it's in the books, it's a thing, but there's so much lore that I'd probably forgotten that detail until they included it in the show. And back then you see Lews Therin unable to work with the female Aes Sedai in trying, his original attack against the Dark One, and here you see something very similar in similar circumstances.
Yeah, it is a pretty good parallel there, and I think the one influences the other, right? Like the fact that the 100 companions like sealed the Dark One imperfectly and caused the taint. Like that's probably a big motivation for Egwene saying like, we need to think about this.
It's like, hey, we did this before and it was a fail, so should we do it again?
Although she doesn't really listen to him, like, because he's not, I don't know.
It's
And
not
also,
only like we've done this before, but like you have done this before and messed it up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
'Cause at this point, it's like it's Lews Therin.
But also that kind of ignores the fact that the reason, I mean, I don't know, this is debatable. Like, did Saidin get tainted because no female Aes Sedai went to help the 100 companions? Or if they had gone, would Saidin and Saidar both have been tainted, But...
Maybe the next book has more answers, but I understood it as if both of them had, this could be wrong, if both of them had gone, they just would have been able to actually imprison him well, so nothing would have been tainted, but the only way he could was to use Saidin in some way that tainted it. That was like the impressions I got reading through it the first time.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it is clear on that. Like, how can we know? Because it was never tried.
Yeah, I do think I think there's a lot more nuance to it than the speaking of the show prologue, throws in there. I mean, we don't need to spend a lot of time talking about Age of Legends in this one, but there's just a lot more desperation and unknowns on both sides for like what plan would be best. Like it was more of a what plan would be best, not what plan is the perfect plan. But
yeah, it was definitely a more desperate situation than the show prologue made it seem, which after kind of like looking to that, I was a little disappointed. Like we saw the whatever city they were in the Age of Legends look real nice, but like really it should have not looked that nice because things were in very dire straits at that time.
Yeah.
All right, so the thing with Egwene does not go well, but it does go well in many other parts. Like Rand is able to reconcile with Tam. That was heartwarming, and Min is pleased with his progress, and he kind of straightens things out in Tyr and straightens things out in Bandar Eban and comes in and saves them in Saldea. So, a lot of wins other than the Egwene thing.
When he saves Ituralda, that's like when he just comes and like basically all power, like his full power, right?
Yeah,
and just like
just nuke.
Dragon Ball Z's them all.
Yeah,
that was a really cool scene, especially after what was it? Book, I think the last book, and was it Crossroads of Twilight, where he had multiple occasions where he just tried to go and use all his power to wipe out like Trollocs or the Shan Chan army and like failed, but this time he's able to, I don't know, just do it really cool. I don't know, this was like so much hype now. I'm like reliving all the hype from it.
Yeah, he's Zen Rand now, so he's got it under control. I don't know, Kaden, was there anything from your reading that gave you any like indication as to the reason why he's now having so much more success? The plot demands it.
Yeah. I don't know. He's not. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm sorry.
I take
conflicted.
it. Yeah, I take it. There's like the confliction isn't there, which that was due to his own like mental illness, like mental health issues, and then on top of the taint and like all that, like compounding it. But even apart from that, now he has like all of Luz Theron's full memories. So he has like amazing knowledge of doing things that were like would be considered miracles in that age.
And he's not duking it out with Luz Theron for control of the power, which was disastrous several times before.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, really good book for Rand. And then at the end, he secures the alliance with all the Borderlanders, and he's gathering at the fields of Marilor, I think is the very very Lord of the Rings reminiscent.
Yeah,
here.
for sure.
Yeah. And then we're ready for the last battle, for Rand at least. There's several more characters that we need to discuss though. So let's go over to Perrin. And honestly, I think that Perrin does the most in this book. Like out of any other character, I made the most notes for him. He's got the most things happening, and he does very well. I can see Perrin showing up in our top threes very easily.
I loved Perrin's storyline, and like my favorite part of Perrin's storyline. And sorry, we can start at the beginning and go through the different things, but I love the interaction between him and Egwene in the White Tower during the fight scene with Slayer.
Yeah.
Like that is the peak moment for me in Perrin's storyline in this book.
Wasn't it that Egwene saw him and was like, wait, is that Perrin? Like Perrin's here doing stuff, and she didn't even really realize what was going on.
And then one of the black Aes Sedai shoots balefire at him, and he just is like, no. And she's like, what the heck? Like
she's like, how'd you stop balefire?
Yeah.
It's just a weave, Egwene. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. So, yeah, that honestly, that whole scene, I just like how it was written. I like how it feels like his storyline has been gradual and just like finally like you get there, and then I love the payoff.
There's really good payoff, and the Wheel of Time does this a lot, where there's these moments of it's almost like plot miscommunications, like in general, where it's like this character knows this and that character doesn't know that they know this in terms of like relationships, but it's more plot heavy with Wheel of Time. Like Perrin has become a master of the world of dreams. Gwen has become a master of the world of dreams, both in different ways, and they're both unaware that the other person is doing something similar. And so this is a really good payoff moment when they like it didn't cause any plot tension like most of those like miscommunications do, but as like fans reading, you're like, finally, like they can recognize each other here.
Yeah. And there were a lot of culminations of Perrin's arc, like with the World of Dreams, with Slayer, with Hopper, all of that stuff, and then with the White Cloaks as well. Like finally, the White Cloak plot is one that really dragged on for me. And now we finally have, like, not a complete resolution, but, you know, the trial is over. We're done with Bayar, and Galad is going to serve underneath Perrin as military commander, and Perrin is, like, the steward of the two rivers. So Perrin, like, does anything go wrong for him in this book?
Just
it's very strong.
for him, no, but Hopper dying is not.
Yeah.
The one kind of sad part, I guess, to his line.
I didn't even mention the forging of his hammer, which was a cool scene, and he names it after Hopper. Good. Several good emotional moments in this book.
Yeah. The Hopper dying is for sure a low point for him compared to the rest of the successes. Especially when, like, you're so used to that, oh, I'll see you in the wolf dream, you know, and now just, like, that permanent erasure. But...
Mm-hmm. So the Slayer conflict, Kaden, like that was something that's been, I feel, fairly murky throughout the books. Like there's these hints at this Slayer Isam guy, and actually I'm not even sure, like, do you fully understand what's going on here with this character yet?
Do you know who he is fully? I can't remember if it's already been revealed.
There's a little more revealed in the next book, and I won't go into that. But all I know from this book is that Moradin lends him to Grendel to send after Perrin. So you just know that he's, following orders from the Forsaken and after Perrin and can enter the world of dreams.
Yeah, it's definitely in the next book because one of the scenes at the very end then ties into more of his backstory.
So I think even in the prologue of A Memory of Light, you get a lot more into his backstory. But
yeah, I was always kind of he's such like an enigma. It's like, okay, like you're so unique in this world and you can do these things that no one else can, but also you're not a hugely important character, so it's like, why? And also, the more you learn about Slayer, it's kind of like, why are you with Perrin? Like, how did you and Perrin get matched up here? Other than the World of Dreams thing, I guess. But
my one critique of that whole time there is that Slayer gets there and they have the dream spike and they can't escape, and they know this for, like, it feels like 3/4 of the book, and it's got to be, I don't know, I didn't calculate it out, but several days, right, where they're just sitting there open, ready to be attacked, and it just feels like the Trollocs could have attacked a lot sooner, but it felt like there was just some waiting around for Perrin to level up and go fight Slayer, and just convenient timing for me, and that'd be one critique I have of that time. I don't know if that's valid, but other than that, I like the Slayer Perrin interaction.
There's a lot of convenient timing because Perrin also sees the Zenran thing, right?
He sees him in the World of Dreams, right? When that happens. Am I remembering that right?
Oh, he's at the Mount, and that's that's part of the prologue of this book as well. He goes in and Hopper takes him to the mountain, and he goes up and he's like watching the fight. So you re-see Rand's conflict in the World of Dreams from Perrin's view.
He's kind of cheering him on.
I forgot about that. That is really cool.
I like all the crossovers. Like after books and books of everyone being separated, now we have like finally meeting back up again. It's nice. nice heartwarming moments. Okay, anything else with Perrin? He also marries Morghese and Talonvar. I don't know if we need to discuss those characters at all, though.
I think that was just a little comic relief.
Yeah,
Legit.
you're not wrong.
Yeah, I like the way his plotline with the White Cloaks gets wrapped up. I think it's kind of convoluted with the trial, but I liked it. I liked it because I feel like Perrin needed that type of closure. Like, he's the type of person who would need like this officially closed out in order to kind of get over it on his own side. So,
Okay, let's go back to Egwene. We started with Egwene, but there is more to her plotline. So other than the Rand thing, the majority of it revolved around trying to find out who was committing the murders in the tower and setting this trap for Missana, and dealing with Gowan, who was trying to help but being very annoying in a classic Gowan fashion.
I mean, didn't he prove his worth here though? Like, didn't he prove that he should
does.
like disobey her at times in order to be her warder?
Yeah, that's fair. And he finally forgives Rand. Like, he meets up with Elaine and figures it out. And so, yeah, maybe is Gowan making it to our top 3 in this book?
Everyone in the community hates on Gowan so much, and his character is such a good addition to the world, in my opinion. He makes dumb choices, but a lot of characters do, based off of like similar like misinformation that goes on. And I don't know, especially in this moment, I feel like he needs a little more. People need to recognize that he's vindicated in saving Egwene the way he does.
I really liked. I thought, yeah, I liked his whole story. I still wouldn't put him in my top 3 though.
Yeah, he's definitely not the top 3 for that one moment. No.
Maybe if this happened in another book, but there's so many choices in this.
Yeah,
one.
yeah, maybe if it. Yeah.
So why do we dislike Gowan so much? Is it just because we love Egwene so much and we're like, Egwene is a 10 and Gowan is a 5? And how does this work?
I don't know. Why don't you like Gowan, Kaden?
I feel like I've gone back and forth through the whole series, where at the beginning I liked Gowan and hated Galad, and then there was some point in the middle where I swapped and I was like, man, I actually like Galad and I don't like Gowan. And I think it's because he kind of is like throws little tantrums. Where like getting into, so when he first he leaves the younglings, right, and he comes over, this is in the last book I think, to like find Egwene at the tower. He like picks a fight and Garth Bryn's like, dude, you're acting like a teenager, right? And I don't know, just like stuff that he's very entitled, I think. So that kind of personality I think puts me off to him. And I think it's kind of supposed to. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's all intentional. Like, I think, and like you're saying, I think Robert Jordan meant to start it with Galad is seen as, you are the inflexible like person that we don't like, whereas Gowan is the more reasonable one, because he listens to his heart more. I saw this analysis. I can't remember, honestly. I don't know where I saw this, but they're both like opposites of the same coin. Like, Gowan doesn't listen to his internal moral compass, or Galad doesn't. He's only listening to like the rigid structure of the laws around him, and he has to learn to kind of adapt from that. Whereas Gowan is like the opposite. He is only listening to himself, but when you're only listening to yourself, like, what you believe is true or right changes all the time. So he's like kind of directionless for a lot of it, because he doesn't have that outside source of telling him what he should or shouldn't be doing. And I think it's also supposed to be kind of a subversion of those archetypes where generally, the more inflexible and black and white character you would dislike because people aren't really like that. And so I think it's really cool how they made Gowan to be this example of, well, this is how bad things can be if you don't have some sort of structure there. And I don't know. And he adds a lot to it. I don't really understand why him and Egwene love each other so much, other than that shared dream thing, but
yeah. That's my thing. Probably because, I mean, I probably have a huge crush on Gwen, and I'm like, come on, I could do better.
Like all
Gowan, I could take Gowan. Come on.
like all true Wheel of Time romances, it goes from first sight to marriage real quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a good example in this. Another good example.
I would say that's
later on
an
in this
example of
book.
the opposite, but
Okay. We'll talk about
once
that
we
in a
get
second.
there, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Gowan's sister, another example of an entitled brat character. And probably the main character who has the least good performance once again is Elaine, although she does secure the throne of Carrion. But what else does she like? She makes the Foxhead copies that save Matt ultimately. So maybe I shouldn't say she does nothing good, but she's once again impulsive and reckless and makes some bad decisions.
I mean, I thought the reunion with her mom was cool with Morghese. Yeah, I guess she doesn't really do that much. Creating the Foxhead medallions is like not a lot of screen time, but like you said, has a big effect. But other than that, I think her interactions with Matt are probably her most important things. Making the medallions and then contracting the Band of the Red Hand in order to make the dragons.
And I guess the main thing that I'm referring to is the whole like impulsive thing where she's like, okay, I'm gonna interrogate the Black Aja, and it goes terribly because what's his face starts with an M. Her guard,
yeah,
right, or quote unquote guard,
the guy that
comes in
she was making everyone believe was the father of her children.
Yeah. What's that dude's name?
I don't remember.
All right, let us know in the comments what his name is.
This
Does it
is.
start with an M?
I thought it started with like a C, but I could be wrong.
It is an M.
Yeah.
It is an M.
Yeah.
This is the book where she basically realizes Min says I'm gonna have twins, and the twins are gonna be healthy, so I'm just gonna do whatever. Right? Is that this book?
Yeah.
I think
She kind of,
was that this book,
Well,
or
it's
she
been
was
both.
acting like that before.
It's been both because she in the last book, right? She goes in the night to capture the four
That's what I was
Black
thinking of.
Aja.
Okay, yeah, that was
But
the last book.
she quotes the exact same thing, right? Before she jumps into the dungeons to interrogate him, says the same thing, and
Yeah.
Brigitta's like, just because your kids are okay doesn't mean you're okay, and
Or the other people around you
yeah,
like might need to save you.
yeah,
And like that's what happened in the last book, right?
right. And two Aes Sedai ended up dying. Yeah.
She gets dragons built, and by dragons we mean cannons.
Do you think that's a win for Elaine though, or for Matt? Like,
Yeah, it's about we'll give it to Matt.
okay,
I think it's a very mutual win there. Like both sides, when she gets an amazing army, and like access to the technology, right? And then Matt gets to create something he's always wanted to create.
I mean, I guess when I talk about wins, I'm meaning as an effort given by the character for the outcome, and I feel like it kind of fell into Elaine's lap where Matt did all the hard work.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt does
Okay.
the work. Elaine writes the check.
Elaine more saw an opportunity and
Right.
took advantage of it, where Matt went out planned the opportunity basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's going to need them because, unfortunately, Varen's letter didn't make it in time, and now the book ends with Camelin, like all the Trollocs, going through the ways, and Camelin is being overrun.
I was very frustrated in that moment that Matt had so much distrust of Aes Sedai, because you're like, Varen died. She gave her whole life for all these letters she's leaving around, and you didn't read it, and I was really upset.
Well, wasn't it also the way Varen presented the letter to him was in a weird way,
Yeah.
because she thought if I told him just to read it, he wouldn't read it, right, or something like
She
that.
tried to make it his curiosity, right?
Yeah, but I don't think you can fault Matt 100% for that.
Sure.
That was more just a misplay on Varen's part.
Yeah, I guess I'm not faulting Matt. I'm just as a reader, I was very frustrated because I was like, oh man, I was more sad that Varen's sacrifice didn't pay. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm making this connection, but I'm getting similar frustration vibes in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Harry has the mirror, but he never uses the mirror, and it could have saved Sirius, but he didn't want to, like, obviously different reasons, because he didn't want to put Sirius at risk by doing that. But I remember at the end of that book, like, oh
Wait.
my gosh, Harry had the mirror. He could have saved him the whole, or like he didn't need to go through the fire and have the whole thing happen.
No, he
Spoilers for Harry
did. He
Potter.
did use the mirror.
No, he doesn't. He goes through Umbridge's. He gets through Umbridge's office, right? Goes through the fire. Creature's there. Creature lies.
Yeah,
to him.
yeah. I was thinking Creature talked to him through the mirror, but no. Yeah, why didn't he use the
Yeah.
mirror?
Because he didn't want to pull Sirius, and he forgot about it. He like swore he would never use it because he didn't want to get Sirius involved and put him at risk.
Oh, right.
Very frustrating.
Harry Potter Wheel of Time crossover.
As a teenage boy, I was distraught over this at the end of Order of the Phoenix for the first time.
Yeah. Those are the feelings I was having. It was very very similar.
It's kind of sad
Okay,
that Elaine gets Carrion. I don't know how to say that in like a political way. She just gets it, I guess. But then turn around and then Camelin is destroyed, basically. So
Well, maybe there's hope. We'll see what happens in the next book.
it's looking bleak.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Matt then. We've talked around Matt a little bit. So the thing we didn't discuss was the Golem thing. The Golem plotline finally resolves. This is another one that's been dogging at Matt, similar to, like a Slayer dogging at Perrin, although that one's not fully resolved. But now Matt has finally defeated the Golem and tossed it into eternal torment, and I thought that was a nice fitting end.
I'll give Elaine a win here in this situation. Not that she was the one who did it, but she's like playing the kin off the other Aes Sedai a little bit and creating her own faction, and it was them who made the skimming gateway that the Golem went into. So after we just trashed Elaine for like 5 minutes, I'll give her like a slight win here.
She's
Okay.
I think she's a really frustrating character. Like the same way Gowan is a really frustrating character. But I think it's really cool how well she's written to where she can be that frustrating and annoying at times, but then like you recognize like the really intelligent like outmaneuvering she does, like the politicking and stuff like that. Do you think this the way they get rid of the Golem, do you think that's a Sanderson invention, or do you think that's a...
I was literally about to ask you guys the same. We're on the same page here, Jake.
Well, when I was getting ready for this episode, I was like, I guarantee Steven's going to say this is definitely Sanderson's influence here, and I'm going to be
really?
like, I don't know how much of it is. Like there are other things that for sure are, especially in the last book, that I'm like, okay, that is like Sanderson.
It's because I've hinted at that other thing in the last book, huh?
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
I've hinted at that too much, yeah.
But
Yeah, we won't talk about that yet. We'll leave that one till our finale episode.
But what do you think, Kaden? Did this seem like? I guess you haven't really read a ton of Brandon Sanderson, huh?
No.
I've read almost everything, I think.
Oh, have you? Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's because it's like a creative way to solve this problem,
Yeah.
which Sanderson is really good at. But I
And
do
Robert
think it was
Jordan
kind of
isn't as good at.
foreshadowed. I think it was foreshadowed earlier on.
Okay.
It could have been, but also it could have been.
It could have just been something that
Yeah.
happened, and Sanderson was like, "Oh, this is a possibility," so
Yeah.
incorporate it into it.
I mean, I think that's one of the best things, the strongest writing of Sanderson's, is he sets up the rules in the world and stuff, and he gets you as the reader to buy into it. And then he's like, okay, what if we do this actually? And we're like kind of bending the rules, or we apply it in this different way. So to answer your question, Jake, yes, I think this was a Sanderson thing, but I could be wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I totally could be wrong.
I do. I'm like 50-50. I don't know one way or the other.
The one thing
It doesn't. Oh, go ahead.
I'd say for Robert Jordan possibly writing it is there has been no like earlier on in the series, right? The falling for forever has been mentioned several times, like you're saying, like foreshadowing, right? But there's been no other payoff for that, like at least that I've read so far, right? Of someone falling for forever, at least that I can think of. So it is something that's introduced, and this is the only time it's really made use of.
I mean, there's that time when they're all skimming to. He was with a bunch of maidens of the spear, and
Oh, someone
does
falls
someone
off.
fall
someone
off?
falls off. I'm pretty sure
Oh.
someone falls off. I could be
Okay.
mixing this up with what the one of the maidens that gets taken at Shatter Logoth, though.
If that's true, I take back everything I just said.
I thought there was, and that was the foreshadowing thing I was thinking of. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but they set it up as like you will fall forever, but
Yeah.
I'm 50-50. I don't know. I'd like to get some definitive proof. The only thing that makes me lean more in the middle instead of towards Sanderson is because of things that happen in the last book that feel so clearly Sanderson that this one is a little iffy for me. But
I'm excited to discuss that one.
yeah, you are.
Yeah, yes, I am. This is a perfect time for the gif of Loki falling for forever in that one Avengers movie. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Through the Doctor Strange portal. Which movie is that?
That's
They all kind of blend together.
That's the third Thor movie.
The Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Good movie. Good movie.
I guess we didn't actually. I don't even know if we said what happened. They corralled the golem into a skimming gateway, and he falls forever. Like that's
Yeah, I guess we were just kind of talking around that.
yeah. That's the end.
Okay. The other exciting Matt thing is obviously the Tower of Genji. Another thing that has been in the works for a while, although really like very much in the background. And this is one of my favorite moments in the whole series, I'm gonna say.
Same. Just because of how like alien it feels, and so like it's like so creepy, and also the Tower of Genji. Speaking of foreshadowing again, is in the very first book.
It's in lots of them, right?
Yes, it is.
Lots of them.
It is, yeah, but it
this
goes
point.
goes all the way back to the beginning.
As well as the is the half the light of the world thing? Is that from the first book?
I'm not honestly. I think it.
No.
I don't
That's
think so.
that's from when Matt goes in
Yeah.
the previous time. But Min sees the scale.
Men,
the
yeah,
eye.
I think men seeing the scale is that could be in
Yeah.
the first book as well.
Yeah.
Guys, I was so wrong about my predictions back in book 2 or whatever I talked about.
What did
was
you
gonna
say?
happen. I don't know. I thought I had to do. I'm pretty sure I predicted that like Matt would have to kill either Perrin or Rand, like giving up half the
I mean,
light.
through 2 books, that's not a bad. Like this is a hard thing,
Especially
to
where,
predict.
where Matt
It's
was
true.
at that point in the series.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yes.
No, I thought it was really cool. I liked it.
This is my single favorite prophecy payoff by far.
I can't remember. Did you say you thought Moraine would be dead when they went in there?
No, I thought Moraine was coming back.
You thought
Okay.
so?
Still back in book 6. I mean, yeah, right. I was like, Moraine's alive. There's no way she's dead.
No.
Especially once Rosamund Pike was cast to play her in the show.
Definitely helps.
Yeah.
Wait a second, is this a Ned Stark situation or nah? Wheel of Time's a little bit different than Game of Thrones.
So
My only criticism of this part is I wish it lasted a bit longer. Like I wish there was more. I wish there was more of them dealing with the rules of the place, and like more of that. Whereas what we got was much more frantic and just like, okay, we prepped ourselves with these rules, but as soon as we got in there, it was like, screw it. It's just like a free for all. But
See, I mean, seems kind of realistic to what
yeah, I just
would happen, but yeah,
I just
I
wanted
agree.
more.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You want to be there longer.
Yeah.
Well, we finally figured out who Noel or no, is it Noel? Is that his name?
Yeah. No.
Like
This one is Noel. The other guy is Noam.
oh yeah, okay, there we go. So Noel.
Yeah.
I felt really dumb that like the foreshadowing for that was like so obvious looking back at like who he was.
Same.
And at the same time I'm like, man, it feels like all the other reveals have been so obvious though that I'm like, this guy has to be like, when you first meet him, I'm like, this guy has to be like a Forsaken, right? Because everyone else that's like a mystery is like a Forsaken, right? And so I feel like Robert Jordan pulled one over on me because all the other reveals were like more obvious that I was like, I missed this.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna betray them in the tower the first time
Same.
I was reading it,
Yep.
and he did the exact opposite.
I've been like waiting
After that.
like 4 books for him to betray him, right? Like ever since he's coming
Yeah.
into the series, I'm like, this guy's no good. But
Because
Yep.
he first appears like
right after the
right
goal.
after the book where they fight the golem for the first time, right? Like and he's like
He
has all this knowledge, but he's kind of Which
he like
makes sense.
watches Matt fight off the golem, and
Yeah,
like right
yeah.
after he fights it off, he's like, "Oh hey," and you're like, "Dude, what were you doing? And why are you right there right now?" Right?
Yeah.
Well
I really
done.
liked how Matt almost screwed it up. That was like totally Matt. His luck prevails. He's planning on the fly. Things are working out, but then he doesn't take into account all the details and almost screws everything up. And once again, another character saves his butt.
Yeah.
So here's a question: what towers is the book named after? And is it the two towers in the Elfin and the Eelfin, or there's like a lot of?
No, the Towers of Midnight are the Shanshan.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's referenced in the Shan-Chan. Is it part of the Shan-Chan prophecy for the last battle or something?
Well,
Something like that. Like
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So they're mentioned in the prophecy about Perrin, and then they're also the Sanshan towers. Then you have the Elfin and the Eelfin, and then Egwene also has a dream about towers, and like 13 towers, and kind of like hinting at the Forsaken. So, was Robert Jordan?
This is kind of like how no one really knows what Two Towers Tolkien was referring to.
Oh, we know.
I mean, we do know, but like your average reader or watcher of the show would assume that it's Orthanc and what's the name of the other
Isengard?
tower? No, Barad-dûr, right?
What is it? Wouldn't it be Isengard and Barad-dûr?
No, Orthanc is in Orthanc. Isn't Orthanc the Isengard tower?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's Saruman's tower and Sauron's tower. Those are the towers I'm thinking.
I'm trying to come up with the actual names.
Isengard-
which I may have just done incorrectly.
Isengard is a name for Saruman's tower because the hobbits are going to Isengard.
Okay, but it's also like the area. I think the name of the tower is Orthanc.
It might
I'm
be.
like fairly confident.
It might be.
Anyway, it's actually not. It's Minas Morgul that's the tower that Tolkien was referring to.
Minas Morgul and
And Orthanc
And Orthanc.
and Isengard.
and Isengard.
I really hope Orthanc is the name now, because otherwise I look like a massive idiot right now.
So Minas Morgul is the tower of the Witch King's Keep.
It's the Shelob Tower.
Oh, right, because that happens at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are the towers in the book.
yeah.
But especially people who've just seen the movie,
Because they
would
moved
assume-
Shelob to movie 3, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So
Anyway, that's a sidetrack, but similarly, we're confused about the Towers of Midnight. And honestly, like, if I have any criticism for this book, I feel like the title could have like tied into the actual story of what happened more, because the Towers of Midnight are like such like not important at all to the plot of this book.
yeah, especially when you have a tower that is really plot important to the book. But
Yeah.
I was just reading on the wiki, and it's because there are 13 towers in the Towers of Midnight, and it's book 13. And then also due to what you're saying, like the prophecy regarding Towers of Midnight and Perrin.
I'm secretly hoping though that Robert Jordan really meant it for like a lot of different things, because
Well, Sanderson came up with, or
oh
Sanderson's team
right,
did. Yeah.
that's right, because that was after,
Yeah.
and he had only planned
'Cause
one book. Never mind.
This
I'm
was all
blaming
supposed
Sanderson
to
then.
be a memory of light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sanderson.
Yeah.
Screwing up the wheel of time for us.
Once you get past, honestly, yeah, once you get past book 4, all the titles to me are just like they're all like quotes from the prophecies or something.
Yeah,
and
just
so it's
kind of
like-
random stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the knife of dreams too, right? There's like one scene with the knife of dreams, and it has no like relevance to that book at all.
But there's like a
Well, a
poem
little
about
bit,
a knife
yeah.
of dreams or something. I
Right.
guess Lord of Chaos made actual sense.
Yeah.
Because the whole let the Lord of Chaos rule. But Winter's Heart
Crossroads
kind of,
of yeah, Winter's Heart and Crossroads of Twilight, like the most ambiguous title that means nothing
Yeah.
at all.
Path of Dagger, Crown of Swords, that made sense too, I guess, because he gets
Yeah.
the crown at the end. But they're all like part of quotes where I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, even A Memory of Light. Although they're mostly, I guess we'll say, a lot of them are thematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where were we in all this?
Tom
sorry.
and Moraine. That's where we're at.
Yeah, Moraine is rescued, and Tom
right.
loves her.
Right. I forgot about this.
How was this for you,
Yeah.
Kaden? First time? This blindsided probably 99% of the Wheel of Time community.
Is this like Sanderson like throwing a jab at Robert Jordan a little bit when he's like, "Oh yeah, they all have these quick marriages," and then Matt's like, "How did I miss this?" and totally says out loud what you're thinking, and Tom's like, "You missed all the subtle cues." Is that?
I think Matt saying, "How did I miss this?" was Sanderson inserting himself.
Right.
Because this was written, like, this was plotted by Robert Jordan. I do think upon a reread, there were lots of moments that, knowing that's the outcome, you can see, okay, here's some hints towards that, especially at the beginning of book 4. And so to me,
I think it's funny.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're good.
I was going to say, like, just referring back to what we talked about earlier, this is one of those instances where I don't think the romance, they meet, they fall in love right away, and then they want to get married. This one is more realistic, where they meet, they have like a mutual respect for each other, and they really like the feelings start to grow, and they never really get a chance to act on them, but those feelings still grow instead of just throwing everything right at the beginning.
Okay. I think that Gwen and Gowan
Kaden disagrees.
have a bigger time actually developing their relationship than Tom and Moraine do because of like the time they spent.
Egwene and Gowan.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Gowan. My bad.
Egwene and Gowan shared a passionate dream bubble.
No, there's the time
That's
when they're in Kyrian, I think, right? And she's like goes to see him every day.
But that's after sharing the dream bubble. Like, that's what
that?
sparked theirs is all hormonal passion, whereas Tom and Moraine is more
Purely
like,
intellectual.
not just purely intellectual, but they're mature people. They're falling for the person. Perrin and Fail, I don't really know. Rand, I just chalk it up to prophecy. He didn't have a choice in the matter.
So is there a good romance in the Wheel of Time series?
Rand and Min and Rand and Avienda, they have some respect for each other. Rand and Elaine.
Rand and Avienda is probably the best progressing relationship. I really like Rand and Min's relationship, but also it was one of those, she realized I'm in love with him, didn't see him for forever, and then saw him again, and then like they're together. Whereas Avienda had a better growth to it.
They're like a whole book of banter.
What about Berlin and Golad, right? Another
That one,
just two really hot people.
that one makes perfect sense. They saw each other and realized how beautiful children they would have, and they were like, "We gotta do this, like, for the sake of humanity."
I think it's funny how you said, Jake, 99% of the Wheel of Time community confused / like doesn't understand the Moraine Tom thing until maybe a reread. But I think it's funny how outraged people were after episode 6 of the show. It was like, oh my gosh, Moraine and Swan are together. What does this mean about Moraine and Tom? What does this mean about Swan and Gareth Bryn? As if all of a sudden people are like huge fans of these relationships that like no one really cares about until they're gone.
To be fair, I feel like Swan and Gareth Bryn's relationship is pretty good, and I think more people like that one. But yeah, the Moraine and Tom, like, it saddens me, but like they could just cut it. It wouldn't do anything really.
It could also still happen. Like
No, yeah, it could. I'm trying to think like how it would. Like you would need to have. Yeah, it could still happen.
Yeah.
But,
Anyway, that's a whole.
No, yeah. Either way, they could happen. But yeah, it is funny that like people generally are not a huge fan of the Moraine and Tom romance, but then people were mad that it seemingly was cut from the show. It's like,
right. Yeah. Okay. Last couple things, then we're doing top and bottom 3. Okay, Lan and Nynaeve, let's do them together. Both of them have just a few tidbits, but it's mostly positive. Nynaeve gets the shawl. She goes through her test, which is traumatic, to say the least, and then she gets Lan's bond. And, she believes Rand and agrees to help him. That's important. And then Lan goes off and goes on his death ride and raises his army, and that's how we started the show. So obviously we were big fans of that moment, and it ends with him riding off into the gap.
Speaking of romances, Lan and Moraine, or Lan and Nynaeve. Oops.
Just, yeah. How did we not mention that in terms of the best romances? Yeah.
I really like how Nynaeve continues breaking ground with healing. She already did one thing that, people thought was irreversible, and then healing the madness. I don't know. That's a huge win for her character.
Sure.
And getting Lan's bond. Huge win.
About time.
Yeah.
Do people really like Lan's storyline to this book? Because when those are the most inspirational, man, the final battle's coming, let's go type moments for me reading Lan's charging to Tarwin's Gap. So I could see people not liking it, but those are one of my favorite parts of the book.
From my perspective, people love it.
Okay.
From what I've seen, hearing, if you comment on some post about Lan on Reddit, and if your comment is like I fly with the crane of the golden crane or whatever, I can't remember what the quote is here, but yeah.
Okay.
People go crazy for it.
I really hope my dad keeps on reading and gets to this point, because he loves Lan. He loves the reluctant tough guy characters that do the cool thing, and this is awesome. All right, so then other than these guys, Avienda, we said her name previously, and she has one of the more interesting couple chapters where she sees the future of the Aiel, and she meets with the mysterious Nakomi person. And I don't know, what do you make of this, Kaden? Because this is we're still doing more lore and prophecy type of stuff here at the very end.
Yeah, once again, random character who you don't know who it is, and I'm like, man, it's got to be a Forsaken, right? But doesn't kill Avienda and seems to not do any harm either. So I have no idea who this Nakomi person is. Yeah,
that's a fair take. I don't really know how you would have much of an idea, but what about the future of the Aiel? This is kind of haunting.
I like it. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna be slightly disappointed if the book just ends 100% happy. The whole series. I feel like if we're in a war with the Shadow, bad things need to happen. So if every character makes it 100% out alive, and the whole world is 100% resolved, I'll be slightly disappointed, I think. I hope they win, and I'm sure there's a great ending, and I want that. But so I think it's good to have this. Hey, things not all might not all be 100% perfect. So.
And this is interesting because it's this future where they do win against the Shadow, but they haven't come together enough. So then there's still this conflict with the Shan-Chan. I think that's really interesting because that's one of the bigger themes of the book, is all of this, lack of respect and communication amongst mankind. And so they beat the Shadow, but they still have this other thing that never got figured out, and it's ultimately the destruction of the Aiel. And who knows, the rest of the world is not doing great, even though we've won the big thing.
As much as this series is more one of those with you have absolute evil versus good, classic good versus evil, compared to Game of Thrones, which is more gray. It really does emphasize that same thing. Even if you vanquish the absolute evil, you still have to deal with yourselves and all the conflict that's there. That doesn't mean at the end of the day everything's going to be perfect. But
I don't think so. My prediction is that they do change that future somewhat. That it doesn't end up being the same, but I still think. There's the prophecies of Rand being the destruction of the Aiel people. I still think it just won't be as drastic as what the prophecies are showing. That'd be my prediction. we'll see what happens.
Okay, final thing is the Black Tower and the Shadow. Things are not going well in the Black Tower. We get a new character named Andral, who's kind of our POV into that. Taim is fully taken over. Logain is gone. And I feel like every time, Kaden, we ask you, like, what's the deal with Taim? How evil is he? And he's pretty evil at this point because they are, like, grabbing people and doing nasty things to them.
Yeah, at this point, there's no question Taim is no good. And
yeah, he's no longer on the Elida side of the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah, I think we've known that for a few books, but we just didn't know what he was doing or what he was up to.
It's such a creepy moment, like the ritual with the Murdral, and anyways.
Yeah.
Does that happen in this book, or
it like talks about it, doesn't it?
It's hinted at.
It's not.
You don't
it's
see
not,
any of the ritual.
No, you don't see it, but like you know, people are being turned to the shadow, and Murdral are going in and out, and that's they're needed for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else? I feel like we're ready for doing our top and bottom three quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. Now's the time. Okay, Jake, you ready for a top three?
Yeah, top three. First, I'm going to do Matt, Perrin, and then Rand.
Man, too easy.
I know, too easy, right? They all had pretty good books. I mean, Perrin gets to craft his new hammer, and he gets all the resolutions of his plot lines. Major win against Slayer, and then Matt not only defeats the Golem, but completes his quest to save Moraine, and comes out scarred, but not debilitatingly so, And then Rand is he's just so cool. I love him in this state where he's still his stubborn self, but he is so at peace with himself at the same time, and just his huge show of power, saving Geraldo was so cool. But
Kaden,
I'm trying really hard here to find a different top
some
three.
unique takes.
But
Don't worry, I have one.
Okay, that's good. So I'll start with Perrin though, because he has to be my number one. Because I'd feel sad if I didn't choose him. But for all the reasons we've already talked about. Let's see. Number two, I'm gonna go with for someone different. I'm gonna go with Noel because he's really awesome and gives his life for them to escape the Tower of Genji. And now that I know who he is, he's even cooler. So, and then number three, we can't. Let's see. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Rand on it because I haven't put Rand in the top three in at least 7 books. So, but
he finally deserves
it, and for saving everyone in Saldaia and just again going in and facing up to Gwen was honestly cooler than even saving Saldaia. So that's why I put Rand in there.
All right, I'm going with 3 characters that all had romantic advances in this book.
Nice.
Number 3 I'm going with, and I'm trying to think of who had the top 3 in terms of who went from point A to point B from beginning to end of the book, who progressed the furthest, who had the best book. So I'm going to start with Nynaeve, who is able to advance to Aes Sedai and get Lan's Bond, which she's wanted for a while, and things are working out pretty well for her. I also like that she believes Rand and is on his side because that was a frustrating thing that Egwene was not able to do that. Number 2, I'm going with Galad, who gets the hot girl and who finally has some inner peace or some absolution as to what he's going to do. He's got some purpose now. He had that a little bit leading to White Cloaks.
Talking to Morghese really helped with that, though.
Yeah. Like you said, this has been a conflicted character for a while, and I feel like he's kind of found something now. And then number 1, who was I going to say? I'm going to say Moraine. I don't even know if I believe that or not. But, she escapes. Like, obviously, she was in a very bad situation at the beginning of the book into a much better one with some power, although it's been shriveled away. But she has the Ongrail, and she's got a new warder. And, Tom's a nice man to have around. So, not bad for her.
Nice.
All right, bottom 3.
Bottom 3. I'm gonna say Masana, the Golem, and Slayer. Those are my bottom 3.
Bad book for the Shadow.
Bad book for the Shadow.
Oh.
We'll see if they can even it up, tie it up in the next book.
Kaden's cheering for that. He's a big fan of the Shadow, it sounds like.
They just it can't be too one-sided here, right? It's an epic battle, right? Like,
I'm so excited for you to finish, man.
Kaden is a dark friend. Kaden is a dark friend, confirmed.
Find a dragon's fang on your door.
yeah, I'm ready for Rand to die, apparently. So,
Who are your bottom 3, Kaden?
all right.
I'm assuming you're going to choose 3 champions of the light here.
Yeah, exactly. We'll start with Rand, and then no. I'll also choose 3 people, but different than Jake. So Grendel. Because she just did nothing she wanted to do. And then Child Bayar is
nice. That's
Bayar. So,
yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good on Bornhold, by the way. Kind of following in his father's footsteps a little bit.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see Bayar at all in the show. Seems like they've recreated the Valda character to kind of fill that fanatic role.
Yeah. And then number 3. I'm gonna go with. Man, there's no one left here. Okay, I'm gonna put Galad in my bottom 3.
Not a fan of Bear because he's stuck with barreling.
Yeah, for the exact same reason. That and I just feel like that whole it took him a long time to come around, and they were gonna totally get wiped by the Trollocs, which isn't their fault, but just felt like they were a little lost through that whole time when he was leading them, which was not his fault because Taviran and Perrin was pulling him there, but I'll throw him in.
I don't really have a bottom 3. I'm gonna be. I don't know. Everyone did really well. You guys kind of took the ones.
It was more minor
characters. I'll just reinforce.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say you guys took the 6 eligible contestants, and I agree. Next book, there will be plenty of good and bad performances to choose from.
Yeah, there will. Man, how far are you in Memory of Light right now?
I'm 40% of the way through it, so
about to start. Never mind.
I'm pretty sure the last battle started on the second chapter. So I mean,
it starts pretty quick.
I've been bouncing from battle to battle. I feel like the whole book here. It's really good. I really liking it. It's
I'm assuming that you'll be reading that one pretty quickly because it's pretty hard to put down.
Yeah, I think I've been reading it for 4 days, and I'm already yeah. I'm waiting to hit the last I'm gonna have to read the last 30% all in one go. Let's finish it out.
So what are you reading next? Are you gonna do New Spring?
I do need to finish New Spring off. I got it for Christmas, so I'm ready to go.
It's such a short read compared to the other one. Compared to Memory of Light, for sure.
I texted Steven this week because I have 4 Audible credits to burn, and I'm about to go through post Wheel of Time depression since I've been.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a thing.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for new series. I have a couple series I need to finish out. I have some books, but nothing big. No big series waiting for me.
Kaden, honestly, you might be of everyone on Fantology, you might read the most books in a year.
You guys have the hard
Especially
work.
last year, since You read all the Dresden books.
I did. That
last
definitely
year.
boosted my stats. Last year I read I think I ended out on 45 books last year,
Yeah, that's a ton.
but 20 of
It's going to
them
be more than me.
were Dresden. So
Man, do I need to read Dresden?
wait, you haven't read it, Jake?
I
Oh,
read the first.
He,
I read the first
he has
two.
a bad attitude. He
I
has
read
a
the.
bad
I read the
attitude
first
about
two
it.
and just didn't.
You gotta-
Didn't like it.
you got to make it through. I mean, not that, but I enjoyed books like 1 through. I don't know. Everyone was it 1 through 4. That's kind of it's a little rough, but the further you get, the better it gets.
Yeah,
It's all right.
We'll
You
see.
said you had a lot of books
I do.
in our episode previewing what we're going to read in 2022.
Yeah.
You had a lot of books. I don't think you need to add Dresden to
Yeah.
your year. Don't put that pressure on yourself. It's okay. You can get to it eventually.
Yeah, got to finish Memories of Ice by the end of the year, right?
End of the month.
End of the month. Yeah.
We're committed to reading that by the end of January.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in to another Wheel of Time episode, and cheer on Kaden from wherever you are as he flies with the golden crane into the last battle.
Yeah.
See you at the end.
See you guys.
Yep.